All right, live and direct, holding it down. Another edition of the Boxing Chit. Let's get it going. It's your boy here, Joshua, holding it down with none other than Boz. How's it going out that way, man?
Well, here this time I am using my real name, but anyway, yeah, it's going pretty well. It's hot, as you can see. It's really hot here, and I
Yes.
don't have an air conditioner or anything, so that's
Oh yeah.
that's
I have something. I got mine is tripping itself. I had to get it fixed here. So we're both in
yeah.
that same situation in some sense, but it's all good. We're gonna keep this thing pushing along, though. Another boxing weekend,
Yeah.
and I guess the big fight of the weekend was Teofimo Lopez, but we had a lot of other dramaful stuff. And because we weren't here this past week, we can also discuss some of the other big action that took place, the likes of Ortiz Jr., Danny Garcia, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But before we jump into that piece of it, how about we start it out a little bit differently and talk about the biggest retirement in boxing that is taking place over the weekend for the second time in, I guess, a couple of months. None other than the world heavyweight champion, the Gypsy King Tyson Fury. So apparently, from what I gathered, he was coming out of retirement and now he's back in retirement. Supposedly, he's vacated the belts and everything. And I see the ring has made the ring title available for the winner of Usyk and Joshua. But yeah, whirlwind of stuff. You never know with Tyson Fury. I'm sure you've seen some of it. What are your thoughts on what's going on with him?
Well, I'm sure this isn't the last time we hear from him. This is I'm sure gonna be like plenty more unretirements and then new retirements going on because he's a guy who obviously changes his mind easily. So yeah, I mean he had his like 34th birthday 2 days ago. So
Oh yeah.
maybe that was a part of it. He was like thinking, "Oh, I'm 34 years old. I'm getting old." So I don't know. But anyway, that really surprised me. But I mean, if I had to choose between not watching Tyson Fury and watching him fight Derek Chisora again, I'd rather choose the first. If you understand me, I really
Yeah,
did not want to
certainly.
see that fight, the third fight there. That would have
Yeah,
been really a waste of time and money and everything.
yeah, that was gonna be interesting. I remember when I saw that news that he was at least planning to face Derek Chisora. Not only that, he was going to use Isaac Lowe as his trainer, which, hey,
Oh
they have a report, so maybe that would have been fine. But yeah, I just thought it was pretty crazy with the champion, the lineal champion, or by his own standard, the undisputed champion, sort of
yeah,
going back and forth, and really not. I don't know. It's just bizarre, I guess you can say, in some sense. Now, some of this
yeah,
may have to do with the fact that he had a situation where he can't fly to the U.S., of course, but who knows? Really, it seems like Fury. Yeah, he's a man that goes by his own beat. I know he was
yeah,
mentioning he was going to be retired. He seemed as though he was pretty confident of it, and of course, he came back, or at least he was contemplating coming back. So yeah,
yeah,
he's back at it again, and I think that I put a poll up. As a matter of fact, I was asking what did people think as far as was he retired for good now, or will he be back in 2023? Some think he's even coming back in 2022, which is not out of the realm of possibility for sure. So that'll
yeah,
be interesting. But yeah, Chisora fight was going to be a payday for Chisora
yeah.
in
The
all
last,
actuality.
last
Yeah,
big one. Yeah,
yeah. Last big payday because I don't think anyone would have given him a chance of winning that fight, especially
yeah.
at this stage.
No way.
So maybe the play for Fury here now with this second retirement is to come back out to take on the winner of Joshua Usyk. Of course, that depends on what happens because I think that if Joshua were to pull off the victory, that would put us in line for another Joshua versus Usyk fight, maybe even in that same location. Who knows? But I mean, we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, I guess the big heavyweight fight is going to be Joshua versus Usyk. We're a little bit closer to that, and Usyk has put on some extra poundage, 30 pounds, according to reports. What are your thoughts on that? You think that's going to help him out in this fight?
I don't know. I think I kind of worry that it might slow him down somewhat, and it probably will. But on the other side, it may also help him because Joshua is obviously planning to be much more aggressive in this fight this time, around. And when you are have to like wrestle a guy 6'6" and 240 something pounds, then you better pile on some more weight, and not dead weight, but good weight.
Yeah.
So I can see why he did that, but on the other side, his advantages are, of course, speed and movement, and all that stuff. So that might be affected, but I don't know if it will really be a problem in this fight. I hope not.
Yeah. Very interesting for sure. Yeah, great points you made there. Yeah, it should help him, I guess, from an impact standpoint, if he is preparing himself for a more aggressive and offensive Anthony Joshua. And we'll see. I've seen a little bit of training video, and he seems to still have some pretty decent movement and everything. He has gone about the move in the proper way, just overall. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks when he gets in there. But I do think that Usyk is still pretty much very confident. Anthony Joshua knows that he has to do something to impress, and he has to really bring it to Alexander Usyk, or he's no longer going to be taken as serious as that true threat or the top guy there at heavyweight. Now, he would still make for some very interesting fights, but I guess you can say that the expectations, for him at least, have been a bit higher, and they're going to continue to be that way if he's able to pull this victory off. But if not, then I think that people will start to kind of view him as one of those guys who's talented, of course, a big guy and all that stuff, but doesn't have that overall mental makeup for the biggest of the fights there at heavyweight. And it's really an opinion and everything, but I think it would be interesting, and I think he does need a win in this fight.
Yeah, I think that simply Usyk is the wrong opponent for him, but he is wrong for many other big heavyweights, because of that. The fact that he is smaller but also much nimbler, than them, and it's really a shame we didn't get to see that fight between Joshua and Fury that was supposed to happen last year. Right? Yeah, it was last year in August. So that would have been very interesting because that was a whole different kind of game, ball game for Joshua, fighting a guy bigger than himself, that isn't faster, or anything. And isn't that hard to hit either, if you look at it. If you compare him to Usyk, of course, he's easier to hit a guy like Fury, It's not that he doesn't have a good defense. He just, he can be hit like we saw in the last Wilder fighting, of course. So
yeah, you're right. That would have been an interesting one as well. I feel like heavyweight has definitely been a shock over these last few years. We did get Fury Wilder, but certainly some of those fight mixes with Anthony Joshua we thought we would ultimately get to see haven't been able to come about. And the question is, will they happen here in the future now? So much going on in the heavyweight division. Apparently, Deontay Wilder will be back at some point. I've seen some rumors thrown out there that he'll take on Robert Helenius potentially. which I thought would probably be a sort of marquee fight for him, one that puts him in a position where he's facing someone who, while he can punch, he also has a high chance of landing his biggest punches on as well and getting the stoppage. So I think that's what Wilder would have in his favor in this fight, the fact that Helenius can be hit. And of course, I think that Wilder is a bigger puncher than some of the guys that have stopped Helenius. I know I recall Gerald Washington is one, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That was a big shock to me, actually.
Yeah. And Washington, he's one of those guys. Yeah, he's got some decent power and all that stuff, but definitely not a true elite heavyweight for sure.
No. That has been proved time and time over since that fight.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
Yeah. So I think it would be interesting at the very least. I do think that Helenius, he knows what the stakes are. He seems to know what the stakes are for this. So if he accepts this, he's going to go in knowing that, of course, he's going to be viewed as that B side in some sense. And this is Wilder's comeback, and that's what the focus would be on. But he has a chance to upset the apple cart,
He's gonna go out on his shield, Helenius, definitely. That's right, Helenius. So, I can see him giving, of course, Wilder a really, really tough fight, and that's what Wilder needs. But he's still a lot more beatable for Wilder than Fury, of course, was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I guess that's what Wilder needs most right now is a win,
Yeah.
That's what he's most in need of,
in dire need.
Yeah. So shout out to Finland, shout out to Tomi Silvanonen, junior middleweight fighter out of Finland as well, as part of that camp, Nordic Nightmare out there doing the thing.
They make good vodka.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I got a chance to visit there. Got a chance to interview Tomi, back in 2018. I got to get back over there. Finland is a cool spot, low key,
Sure.
And shout out to John Perkinson. Appreciate you stepping in, my friend, and leaving a comment. He says Usyk is too technically sound. Joshua has to use his jab. Overtime body head movement and many angles. He has to up his technical game. Yeah, very, very much great points. He seems to have tried that at points, but he hasn't done it in a way that has been beneficial for him. At least in the Usyk fight, and I've seen him try it out at other times as well. He was doing something similar when he fought Alexander Povetkin. And he was trying to box and move a little bit, and it didn't look too great, of course, but he was able to get the job done there. So it'll be interesting to see how he does here. We know that Usyk, he's technically sound, no doubt about it. So it's a matter of whether that will benefit Joshua more or whether a more aggressive, just looking to take him out. And I'm not saying recklessly, but an aggressive, more determined, offensive Joshua, that make it interesting,
He has to keep Usyk at a distance, because we saw how aggressive Usyk was, last time, and being so fast. I mean, being the faster, smaller guy, he can get to Joshua easier, actually. I mean, with his attacks, up close. Yeah.
I heard them mention, so before we get to it, I was watching the Teofimo Lopez versus Kempa. Can't remember Kempa's first name fight last night. Teofimo Lopez Kempa last night, and I heard them mention on the broadcast that the Saudis had the rights to the fight along with BT Sports or someone in the UK. I believe they said BT Sports, and that supposedly, they hadn't made an announcement of how it would be shown in the U.S., but they expect it to be DAZN, which I believe that to be the case. I've been on the zone. I can't remember if I saw anything or whatnot. We know it's going to be a pay-per-view, but I thought that was very interesting that on the Top Rank broadcast, they were mentioning that no announcement had been made on the U.S. showing. That's pretty significant considering we're pretty close out now here.
Yeah.
So shout out to Chris Cabrera. Greetings from Tampa Bay. Great breakdown, but hey, appreciate you, Chris. We do appreciate you. Thank you for dropping in, checking it out. Yeah. Hey, we're always here and down to talk boxing. We love the interaction, all that good stuff. So feel free to drop by anytime. But yeah, so the other big fight, or the big fight of last night, was the return of the takeover, Teofimo Lopez. He was returning after taking that loss to George Kambosos last year. So I know it had been about 200 and something plus days is what they were mentioning on the actual broadcast. So he was taking on a Mexican fighter, Campo, who had a pretty nice looking record of 34-1-1. But as we know, the majority of those happened in Mexico, and sometimes you can pad your resume there for sure. And I believe he had one fight outside of Mexico prior to this fight with Teofimo Lopez last night. And as we know, this was really a showcase fight for Teofimo Lopez against an opponent who was going to offer up something, certainly on the offensive side more than defensively. And Teofimo Lopez was able to get the job done in a very comfortable way, and he looked pretty good in doing so. Now, we have to separate, of course, the opponent from what it is that we are accustomed to seeing from Teofimo Lopez. And we do think he's a high-level elite fighter, and he turned heads when he was able to defeat Vasily Lomachenko. And, of course, Kambosos came in, and I will say that during that whole situation, Teofimo Lopez, there was a lot going on. That's pretty clear. He bet on himself in a way that didn't work out in terms of trying to get additional money squeezed out of Top Rank for his fight, having beat Lomachenko, and that pretty much left him out of the ring for a long period of time, with fight being canceled and dates being changed multiple times, COVID being involved, all that, etc. But I will say he looked happy to be back in the ring. He looked energetic while he was in there. He was able to get the win, and at least for this night in this fight, he looked to be on top of the world again. I don't know if you were able to catch any of it or the highlights, but what do you think? Teofimo Lopez now at 140 pounds.
He's a really hot division. Even though 135 also is really hot, but this is I think he just kind of got a little too cocky after the Lomachenko victory, and he was like, "Oh, now I beat the best guy in the world. Who can ever beat me?" But he forgot that it wasn't really the best version of Lomachenko either. But and it wasn't a really clear victory. I didn't think so. But even if it was, Kambosos is a completely different kind of beast, than Loma. So he really forced the fight, and he bullied Teofimo a lot more than Loma did. So, in the end, he just couldn't cope with that kind of pressure, I guess, Lopez. So, but now at 140, I think it will be very exciting to see him fight the best guys. I don't know who he will get to fight eventually, but there are many different opportunities. I think maybe a fight against someone like Ramirez would be good, probably, because Ramirez is a guy he can beat definitely, because he comes forward. He's not really a technical fighter. He's a pressure fighter, as you know.
That would be an interesting one for sure. And I guess Ramirez is hurt. He was supposed to fight, I believe, Zepeda, and
Right.
I believe that was the case. He is hurt now. Something happened at least, and of course that has been changed. Zepeda is now going to be fighting Regis Prograis, which brings us to that question on the screen from Chris Cabrera. Thank you. It's how do you guys see a Teo versus Prograis or Taylor? I feel like he needs a true test. Without a doubt, he certainly needs a true test. I know they're kind of slow rolling it here now, so we'll see who's the next big opponent. What are your thoughts on those potential matchups there, Boz?
Well, that would be really great because I think also both guys could use a fight like that because, especially Prograis hasn't exactly been fighting top guys lately. I mean, Tyrone McKenna, Ivan Redkach, aren't exactly war beaters, if you know what I mean. So
he's been taking what he can get, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of been resting on his laurels, let's say. But I mean, and Taylor, after he fights Carroll, whatever happens there, whether he wins or not, he also would. I'm sure he would accept that fight because it would bring him a lot of publicity and all that. I mean, also be a really good challenge for him to see if he can what he can do against Teofimo, with his skills and all that, with his body punching and all that stuff.
And now Taylor Catterall, I know that they had that fight. Taylor has vacated some belts. I haven't looked, so I wasn't sure if there's intent to do a rematch there as far as Taylor and Catterall. I don't know if you've heard or seen.
No, I just heard that I know that he's going to fight Catterall again,
but nothing solid.
No. I think, well.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
It was a very controversial in many sense, and some felt he certainly won. But I think that Teofimo felt that Catterall won. But
that's weird.
I
can't see anything about this rematch happening on Boxrec with Catterall. Why have they canceled it also? What has happened?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. It's funny because I know Taylor was talking to moving up as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't actually done so already. As a big 140 guy.
It should be interesting. But I do think that for Teofimo, he looks good. He looked pretty good last night. Him versus Prograis Taylor, I think both of those are good fights, just given the nature of each, because I would say that both Prograis and Taylor are very much guys who aren't afraid to mix it up. They have tools in their belt offensively, even though Taylor struggled in his last fight. But, when the two faced each other, that made for a very good fight, not only on the technical side, but it also offered a lot of offensive interest, and it was a very, very good fight. It had replay value, all that good stuff. So I think that Teofimo, he fits right in that same mold as those guys there at 140 who are at the top end. So I think any combination of them fighting should make for interesting fights. Even if Teofimo were to take on a guy like Ramirez, I know that given Ramirez's offensive prowess, that should make for a pretty good fight there. So I don't see any bad fight for Teofimo Lopez. And a name that is out there, and he actually was in attendance, was Arnold Barboza, who I think is a very, very solid fighter. I've seen him a number of times, and I felt like, he certainly deserves to be in the mix there at 140 pounds.
He's undefeated, right?
Yeah, undefeated. I think he's 27-0. He's tough. He can take a shot. He definitely has a chin on him. He has pretty solid movement, and he has a decent punch himself, and he can box. He's skilled. So Teofimo didn't mention his name last night. I think that was strategically because he has intents of trying to get a belt, and right now Barboza doesn't have a belt, so it's sort of high risk, high reward. Well, I guess a lot of the guys don't have a belt because Taylor had them all, but that aside, it is high risk, high reward for him to take on, or high risk, low reward for him to take on Arnold Barboza.
Yeah.
And I think people who haven't seen Arnold Barboza might think it's a wash, but I don't think it's the case like that. I think Arnold Barboza has the potential of really upsetting the apple cart if he were to face Teofimo Lopez, and he is the bigger fighter, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the same thing goes for Carroll. It's a high risk, low reward for Taylor. You know, he almost had to fight him because he was 26-0, Carroll, you know. So if he hadn't fought him at all, you know, he would get a lot of shit, you know. But now that he has fought him, it's just like he doesn't have to fight him again, you know. That's how it goes, you know, in boxing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Also, we can also mention Zepeda himself as a good fight.
Zepeda. I love watching Zepeda. I love his style, and he always makes for the most part, he always makes for an exciting fight, especially at the high level. That would be good too.
He's a banger, definitely.
Yeah. Shout out to Bruce Gas, Boxing and Jazz. Salute, my brother. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Hey, if you want to be entertained, go follow Bruce Gas. I mean,
nice.
I can't even say it enough, but yeah, go check out Bruce Gas. Hey, that's entertainment right there. And he puts out great content, great interviews as well. Had Tim Witherspoon on not too long ago. That was a great interview. And you found out a lot, you know, no holds barred, no holding back, and no cookie cutter stuff right there. Just keeping it real at all times. So appreciate you dropping in, Bruce Gas. And Hyphy, check out Hyphy as well. Appreciate you dropping in, Hyphy. As always, you know, appreciation. Thank you for dropping in again. You know, we always talk about Cali, that Hyphy movement. It's still alive. So, you know, we're gonna represent out here.
That picture always cracks me up. It's so funny.
Oh yes. Check him out, Hyphy. Let's go. Chris Cabrera, appreciate the questions, Chris. Yeah, keep them coming. Any thoughts on Tevin Farmer coming back? Used to love his style. Yeah, you know what? As a matter of fact, I was watching that. I was watching that broadcast through Skywalker Boxing's page. Shout out Skywalker Boxing. As a matter of fact, Bruce Gas put me on him. But yeah, I was watching that fight. Well, that fight card, I should say. Ultimately, the fight in itself didn't happen, which is some of the craziest stuff that you see in boxing. Only in boxing, definitely only in boxing. But apparently, in the midst of the show, Tevin Farmer, he was slated to face Mickey Bay, and this fight was going down in Arizona. It was a pretty lengthy card. It had a decent number of fights on there, so the fans did get to see a number of fights. But in the midst of the show, those two canceled their contest due to a financial situation. I don't know exactly what it is, but in all likelihood, it had something to do with them not being able to get the money I guess they had agreed to, or they were anticipating they were going to get, and they went on IG Live or something of that nature and made a broadcast together blaming the promoter. And of course, I do feel that it was just a pretty crazy situation. And I was having talks here with my girlfriend on it, as a matter of fact. And my opinion on the situation is that not only is the promoter at fault, but I feel that Farmer and Mickey Bay are at fault as well. And my reasoning behind that is this. Ultimately, this fight was going down in Arizona. Now, I've been to Arizona, and I've actually seen a fight, or at least a fight card in Arizona. It just so happened to be Zurdo Ramirez when he took on Jesse Hart. And I believe this might have been, I can't remember if it's the first or second fight, but it was 2017. But it was Zurdo, Jesse Hart, Oscar Valdez was there. The crowd was great. This went down at one of the arenas there for a college that was in Tucson, Arizona, which is close to Nogales, which is where Oscar Valdez was from as well. But great card. I mean, from a top to bottom standpoint, great to see live as well. And it was a lively crowd. A lot of people came out, showed support. And if you're familiar with Zerto and you're familiar with Oscar Valdez, you know the types of fighters they are. You know, they're very much more offensive fighters. And, you know, they could be subject to getting in a war at any point. Now, for me, the thing that is kind of shaky is the fact that Tevin Farmer and Mickey Bay were the headliners for this pay-per-view. It was a pay-per-view, theoretically, for $30 on Fight TV, and then there was some other website they were tied to. I don't know who the promoter was, and I only found out about the fight a couple of days prior when me and you were chatting by Messenger, so I didn't even know the fight was going down. Right. But you have two fighters, Mickey Bay being from Ohio, Tevin Farmer being from Philadelphia, and they're fighting in Arizona. Neither of them have a style that is what the Latino fans in that area, Arizona, down there southwest, are really accustomed to, or what is really entertaining as far as a lot of the fighters that come out of that area. So you have that going against you. And then on top of that, Tevin Farmer hadn't fought since 2020, and Mickey Bay hadn't fought since 2019.
December or something. Yeah.
This was a very much out of sight, out of mind type of fight. I feel like that's why I feel like, while they did their parts and everything, they came in shape, they said, and ready to go and all that stuff. From a promotional standpoint, these two are free agents, so it just didn't seem like it was the right move for me when you're working with, and you all being free agents and working with a promoter that you're, I guess, seemingly not familiarized with out in the Southwest, when one of you is from Ohio and one of you is from Philadelphia. Now, Farmer is technically the bigger name, I guess you can say, and he had, at least from the times that they were fighting, at least in the last couple of years or years before their last fight, Farmer was the one who was kind of on the upside, right? And I just feel like this fight should have been somewhere on the East Coast. Specifically, it should have been in Philadelphia. That would have probably made more sense than being in Arizona. But hey, when I think they probably didn't have a ton of choices as far as who was available or promoters available who wanted to fight. Because let's face it, it had the makings of a fight that wasn't going to be, or it had the potential of being a fight that wasn't going to be good, or wasn't going to be interesting. It was probably going to be a little bit boring. But I don't know. Who knows? You know, but just given the style,
they've been away so long, so the chances were small, to put it that way. It could have been an exciting fight, but so that's also pretty unlucky for those guys, because they needed a fight now. So who knows when that fight will be made, or if it will be between them.
Apparently they mentioned that they've been trying to make it happen, or this was the third or fourth cancellation or something like that. So I don't know what the deal is, but that's pretty crazy situation. So I think there's definitely blame to the promoter as well, but they also share some. I mean, it comes down to selling tickets, and given the fact that this happened right there on the day of, and I guess during the actual contest, it seems that they were relying on ticket sales and what would ultimately be the pay-per-view sales more so than anything, and maybe the numbers weren't adding up right, and of course that led to that being canceled. And so this was happening in the midst of the show, and then the co-main event was a guy out of this area, or Baltimore. His name's Truck Simpson. He's a good-looking prospect. He was going to fight, but apparently his opponent pulled out. So the co-main event and the main event ultimately didn't happen, which I guess ultimately makes for a pretty interesting card. I would say. I won't say it was a crappy card in the sense that you usually have the opportunity to highlight some of the local fighters or the prospects coming up and all that stuff. But when you think about it from a headlining standpoint, yeah, it just did not work out. Not a good anything that was tied.
Yeah, I mean, you don't remove like the two by far biggest names on the card, from
Yeah.
when you remove someone, it's usually someone unknown, someone that's not so important.
Yeah, it's that's crazy situation. Crazy boxing stuff. 86 and Bodge, you already know. Give him the good work. Have a blessed day. Shout out, thanks, Mom. I know that's who that is. Thanks for showing some love. Drop it in here. We're gonna keep holding it down for sure. Then Bruce Gad, hyphy, walk my bro. All right. Shout out Bruce Gas and hyphy dropping in on us. Appreciate it without a doubt. Let's see. So yeah, that was the other sort of drama of the weekend. Full of drama, full of more drama than action, I would say.
Yeah,
probably more drama than action.
Yeah, and you had that very tense press conference, for Benn versus Eubank.
Oh yeah.
The battle of the juniors.
Now, I had started to watch that, but I didn't get through it. But I heard that they were going back and forth.
When they were
I think it's interesting.
Showing how you facing off. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
They were doing the face off, and Eubank tells Conor Benn, you are something. I think he said you are not so tall or something, and. Then Conor tells him, you know what they say about the guys that are big. I mean, the bigger they are. So I know.
I'm gonna look up. I want to see how they stack up size-wise there in the face-off. Okay, I see. Yeah, man. Eubank definitely is bigger for sure. Definitely is bigger. Yeah, that's the part that makes it pretty interesting. And I don't know. The fact that Eubank has to drop down to 155, I don't know how that bodes for him. Doesn't seem ideal at this stage, considering he's already fought above 168.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, he's become a natural super middleweight, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that size difference shows, but it may be a moot point come fight time if he has to fall down further. But I don't know how tough it is for him to make the weight. But he was not a guy who seemingly was just had excess baggage when he was fighting at 160, 168. He seemed to be pretty cut up for the most part.
Yeah, but Conor has been looking good, in his last couple of fights. Even though people say, "Oh, who did he beat?" Like Algeria and the other guy Van Heerden. But it's still not like they were total, tomato cans. I mean, he beat them in a very impressive way. So.
Yeah, I agree. The way he took out Van Heerden, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
to do it so quick,
Yeah, and I think earlier he didn't look like he had that big punch or like his father, but now he looks more and more like he can punch, really. And he's got the speed and everything, the aggression like his old man had.
Yeah. And beating Algeria, I expected him to beat Algeria, but the way he was able to do it with that one punch knockout was pretty nice as well, I must say.
Yeah. That was brutal. Wow.
Yeah, he caught him. That was a good one. Shout out John again. He says Wilder should quit after this one if he doesn't shine. That trilogy was too much on him. Hey, that does take a lot out of you when you go through 3 hard fights, especially against the bigger man, which is crazy when you think about it. In the sport of boxing, Wilder being 6'7", he came in at like 30-something, I guess, in this last fight, but he was
Yeah.
a smaller man, which is crazy when you think about it. But yeah, that had to be grueling for him, I would say. And you're right. But I think that if he comes back and takes on Helenius, I think he's going to have that opportunity to shine without a doubt. And I think that he beats Helenius in pretty much majority of categories. And I think that's going to bode in his favor. So that might allow for him to, get another one of these big fights.
Elias is just, I don't know how old. He is just too old, I think, by now. He's like I think he's around 40 or something, or almost 40. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to
he's getting close there, if I'm not mistaken.
But also, Wilder he's like 37, right? He's getting on in age.
Yeah, he's getting up there as well.
It's not like he's got a lot, left, of his best years anyway. Well,
Helenius is 38.
All right, Helenius.
And Wilder's 36. Hey, you're the same age.
Still, but I think he was like born in 85, but maybe October or something. Something like that.
Yeah, you're right. So he turns 37 here in October. You're right. Yep.
Oh yeah, right. I got a good memory. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right in that regard. So it is interesting.
So he doesn't have that much time left to make another big fight and then retire, of course, because he doesn't have. He shouldn't fight so much longer anyway. That could be really bad for his health, of course.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, we're in agreement with you there, John. Certainly, even so, if he were to win this Helenius fight, what would be next would be the interesting question. I've seen reports thrown out there of Wilder taking on Andy Ruiz. Now, it'll be interesting. It will be an interesting fight. It's one I would want to see, of course. Andy Ruiz, he has to get past Ortiz, which I think he will. Ortiz is another one of those guys who he's a decent boxer, long in the tooth now. But yeah, it should be interesting to see how Ortiz looks, because he's in some of the pictures I've seen, and I haven't seen a ton of them. He seems to be working out pretty hard, trying to get himself in decent shape. Andrew Ruiz, this is. But he looked not that good in his fight with Chris Arreola last time out. Almost bad. I guess you could argue he looked bad. I mean, getting knocked down by Arreola, who is probably 7 or 8 years removed from his best version of himself, but he was able to drop Andy Ruiz, and it was just an interesting fight.
Very disappointing, because I thought that Ruiz was going to even stop Arreola, probably. And he has to fight for life. What's this? Oh, come on, Andy! If you know better than this, you can do better. But seems like he's lost some of that hunger, that fire that he had when he beat, or before he beat Joshua.
Yeah, you're right. And they keep telling us, ever since he had that bad showing with Joshua, they keep saying, oh yeah, he's getting in shape. He's about to be the best version of himself, the best shape he's ever been in, And if that was the case, then maybe he shouldn't be in shape for this fight.
Yeah, exactly. But I was going to say, maybe being in shape doesn't work out for him as well as being out of shape. It's like when Fury also said, I'm fighting at my best when I'm at my heaviest. That's what he said.
Hey, well, yeah, he looked pretty good this last time around at 277. He was up there around 277 or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know that much we use kilos, so I don't know exactly how much that is, but I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's around 120. Yeah. 125 kilos or something.
It might be, America, we use this metric system. Everybody else, almost everyone else uses kilos. We use or stones, and I guess
pounds.
they use stones over
Oh,
there.
stones are even worse. I kind of figure out the pounds and all that, but the
I have to
stones,
look it
I
up. I
just
have to Google it.
yeah,
Tell
I
me
don't.
9 stones, 12 ounces, or something like that.
Yeah, it's so difficult to figure out.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Very old-fashioned kind of measure.
Yeah, hey, you know how it goes down. But heavyweight division interesting. And as I was mentioning earlier, we missed the last one, but in the meantime of that, another big fight or big return was Virgil Ortiz taking Michael McKinson, who was out of the UK as well, who was an undefeated fighter. Well, both of them undefeated, but McKinson, he was coming in undefeated. He was a pretty solid boxer just from an overall standpoint. Now, McKinson, I believe he was like 22-0 actually. He was 22-0 at the time, but I think he only had 2 knockouts, right?
Yeah,
2 knockouts. So that tells you that he didn't have that sort of big time pop to
He's a tricky fighter, obviously.
Not one known for the punch, but of course he can put punches together well. He can move well, and he was doing some of that in this fight as far as movement, and he landed some things. Virgil Ortiz was coming back from, I guess it had been a good long period since he fought, because he was supposed to fight at some point, I believe earlier this year maybe, or I can't remember if that was earlier this year or last year, and ran into an issue, I guess cutting weight or something like that.
Right.
It was a weight-related issue, and it seemed that his days at 147 might be coming to a close, but he was able to bounce back from this, recover, and look pretty good for the weight. Now it doesn't seem like the weight is an issue for him. One never knows, but this could have been a one-off, and so he was returning, and he looked pretty good from what I gathered. Of course, a lot of people point out the fact that McKinson wasn't, this huge threat from an overall standpoint, and I would agree in that sense. But McKinson, is a decent fighter. He can box, and he was someone who did a lot of moving. A lot of movement was involved. So this was someone that Ortiz, he probably has fought, but I don't recall anyone who moved to this degree, just off top at least. So it's going to offer for a different opponent than the last couple that we've seen from Virgil Ortiz. And I think it showed in the fight that the lack of power for McKinson was going to be a problem, because while he was moving well, especially early on, it became pretty evident that Victor Ortiz had no respect for his power, because Ortiz was walking in and you could just tell that he was super confident, and the way he rips body shots, which I think he's very good at, one of the better ones in boxing in that sense. You just knew that eventually he was going to get to McKinson and break him down. And lo and behold, it would be body shots that actually took him out. I'd imagine you've seen that now, right? Or the highlights and things of that. So what were your thoughts on the return of Ortiz?
Yeah, he was, of course, impressive. I mean, in the start, he looked like he was kind of struggling to really land a lot of punches. But because of that, as I said, McKinson is a very tricky fighter, And in the first couple rounds, he did manage to kind of confuse him, but then Ortiz started to figure him out, soon after that.
Yeah.
Then it was, it was showtime. It was time for the
ninth round stoppage is what it ended up being. Ninth round.
Yeah, right. The ninth round. Yeah. He scored like a couple knockdowns first or something, I think.
Yeah, some of those body shots there at the end were tough.
Yeah, really brutal stuff. Yeah, but I'm glad he needed like a really kind of not an easy, like very I mean, he needed an opponent that doesn't just go straight at him.
Yeah,
He needed to like work a little bit harder to get that knockout. Because when he
yeah,
fights,
you're right.
eventually, for instance, if he should fight Crawford, then he will have to know
Yeah.
how to
Those are
figure
gonna be
out these
interesting.
guys. So
Yeah, I'm with you there. No, I agree with you 100% on that. I'm sure they could have found another opponent that he would have gotten out of there in the first or second round, but I thought it was good to
yeah,
take this fight coming off of that little layoff and
yeah,
situation. So I thought that was good for him, and given that, I thought he did pretty decently. And with McKinson, I mean, hey, he lost this. This was a big fight for him, but
yeah.
it's not the end of the world for him, I would say. I think he can
No,
still be a player, certainly. And this was his first opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, sort of at that sort of
no.
beyond the European level. I could be wrong. But from what I recall, this might have been that first opportunity, depending on he was taking on one of the top sort of prospects. He was a top prospect in that more contender stage now, constantly on that sort of step up, and he's passed every test. So he was taking on a legit challenger, and yeah, I mean,
Mm.
hey, it's not the end of the world for McKinnon. You can bounce back from this and
No,
continue to do some things. Now
he's
for
only got one loss. That's
yeah,
to a total like destroyer.
yeah,
Wrestling
certainly.
machine.
Certainly. Now for Ortiz, as you mentioned, I mean, running out of guys other than the very top elite guys. Now we're running out of them. So here moving forward, I mean, it seems like the only logical choices are going to be some of those guys who are kind of in the same boat that he is, looking to get that or at least one of those welterweight titles, and potentially looking to get all of the welterweight titles, depending on what happens with Crawford Spence, when and if, I guess if and when, but seemingly closer now than ever for happening in November. So when you think about it from that standpoint, there will be guys like Emmanuel Stanionis,
Yeah,
who we've
Stanley.
seen and we like. It'd be guys like Jaron Ennis.
Yeah,
It'd be guys like that. It'd be guys like,
yeah. Jaron
depending on
Ennis.
what happens, Conor Benn maybe, even though Benn, still has,
If
we'll
yeah,
see. I mean, we'll see what this fight does, but he
if
hadn't
he
had some of the
yeah.
fights that they've had, some of the other
Mm.
guys I mentioned. But he's kind of getting in that stage. You know what? I actually think a good fight for him would also be against the guy that Stanionis fought, Buatev, who was the Russian fighter who had lost to Alexander Besputin, who was another fighter from that area who's very solid. I think he had a solid amateur career as well. He had lost to Besputin, but Besputin popped on some test or whatever, so it became a no contest. So I think it's Buatev or Batayev, actually Batayev.
Yeah,
So
Rajab
yeah, I
Butayev.
had high regards for Batayev, and I thought that he would potentially pull it off against Stanionis. That's why I actually led with potentially winning, because Stanionis, this was a step up opponent for him, and
Yeah,
I felt like Besputin, he's pretty solid. But yeah, ultimately, Stanionis looked good. So that's sort of the territory that is there now for Ortiz, as far as I'm concerned, especially when they're throwing out, mandatory challenges for like the likes of Errol Spence and things of that nature, or for Crawford or whatever, because I know that they've said that Jaron Ennis is a mandatory for Errol Spence. So
mm.
I think that's pretty interesting. So is it going to
Yeah.
be them waiting or what? Are these guys
That's
going to wait, or what's the
that's not
deal?
a lousy fight at all.
No, that would be
Yeah,
excellent. That would be excellent. It just doesn't. Yeah, I don't.
Yes.
I guess if Crawford versus Spence doesn't happen, then maybe that's
Yeah.
something that we throw out there. I don't
Yeah,
know, but
definitely. Yeah, and it's the menace.
yeah. He's legit. But yeah,
He
my
is.
question would be: Are these guys gonna wait? Or are they gonna fight each other? If Crawford versus Spence is gonna be made, and say that turns out to be a fight that warrants a rematch, what's
Yeah.
gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? So,
Well,
essentially, what's next for Virgil Ortiz? That would be a good question.
yeah. I mean, the welterweight division has some serious knockout artists now.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Ennis, of course, is one of them.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's a good thing because it wasn't always a division that was full of those. It was more full of technicians and fast guys. Always. So there were usually a couple of those famous welterweights that could punch, but not that many. Like Donald Curry, for instance.
Oh yeah.
Burns, those guys. But you had Marlon Starling, for instance, who was more like a defensive guy, who was not a huge puncher anyway, but he was more a strong guy who would manhandle you like stuff.
Yeah. I haven't seen a ton of Starling or Curry, but I know them for sure. They were real players, definitely.
Yeah, Curry was really wow, he had such talents, amazing. But something happened, he just kind of, how do you say it, kind of deflated totally.
Yeah. Some guys, they shoot up there and the trajectory looks like it's going to continue to rise and then fall flat and all that good stuff.
Sometimes it's managerial issues also that happen, and they are to blame. They can't focus on training because something's wrong. They got a beef with the manager. I know that Curry actually, before he lost to Lloyd Hannigan, he had a beef, a dispute with his manager. So that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we often see that in boxing for sure.
Yeah.
Even to this day.
And as a result, he was badly dominated by Hannigan in that fight. That was really one of the biggest upsets I believe ever. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. The sport of boxing. I mean.
Yeah, that's boxing.
Never know what you're gonna get. I was thinking at 147 also, if I'm not mistaken, the Kazakh fighter Yelesianov. I believe he's at 147. Is he one? I think he's 147, right?
Yeah, Danyar. Yeah,
I think that guy is legit.
Yeah, he definitely looks.
But you don't hear his name being thrown out there or nothing. Then you have maybe Ortiz can take on, and supposedly this was mentioned, but David Avanesian. They were saying earlier this year that was something that was thrown out there, and Avanesian didn't want to fight. I don't know. I don't know what ultimately came about, but that would be a good one.
When you mentioned him, I was just talking with. We were talking. About this in Jamie Bourne's podcast. Hello to Jamie, and punch perfect. And I was like, how would you like to see Avanesian versus Stanionis? And he was like, oh wow, what a great fight. And I agree, that'll be a really good fight to watch.
Yeah, that would be a good one. It would be a banger. I think it'll end in a knockout of some type as well.
Oh yeah, because both guys have that kind of quality, very offensive and can punch also. And Avanesian, what he did to, for instance, that Spanish guy, that was.
Oh yeah.
Lea Raga.
Yeah. Avanesian, man. Yeah, he's a solid guy. He's strong and tough, and that. And determined as well, which always makes for a tough fight, regardless of who you're going up against. And he has that sort of. He's like a very much a puncher, a box. He can box, and he's a puncher, and I feel like that style can it's just in the mix with any style, you know.
I think he had actually learned from that loss to Kavaliauskas.
Oh
I think
yeah.
he has improved actually late in the last few years, because
Yeah.
I believe that fight was 2018, right? Something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and at this stage, I think if they were to fight again, I'd favor Avenizzi.
Yeah, now Kavaliauskas has been stopped by Virgil Ortiz, and that can also damage a fighter. And he's no longer so young, I think, either, for a fighter. He's like, I don't know, 35 or something.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I was looking up Daniel Yelusinov, the Kazakh fighter. So I looked on BoxRec, nothing shows. Wikipedia shows Ivan Golub, who is this fighter. I know I've seen him, and he had like a 21-1 record or something like that. It showed that he was slated to face him. It didn't have any dates or anything in there, but that was Wikipedia, so I don't know. Anyone could have put that in there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've seen that name before. Ivan Golub.
Yeah. He lost to Germonte Clark, who was the guy who lost to Sebastian Fundora, and he looked pretty good against Fundora. Actually, it could be argued that he won that fight against Fundora. It was pretty close.
Oh, yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, this would have been at 154.
Oh, yeah. You know what gold means? I know, because we have the same. It means pigeon.
So Ivan Pigeon.
Yeah. It's not exactly a flattering name for a fighter, is it?
yeah. Ivan Pigeon.
Yeah.
So Yelusinov, he's or Yelusinov.
Yelusinov. You can see.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, he's 31. You know, I knew he was not one of those young fighters, and they were trying to fast track him. So yeah, he needs to be in that mix right now. You know,
those guys, they spend quite a lot of time in the amateurs, so usually don't turn pro until 25, 26, 27. You know? So that's a little bit a shame.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's legit, sort of like Janibek there at 160.
Yeah,
they're trying to fast track him. That's like the best move, because Yelusinov, he's 11-0.
Just call him Danyar. It's easier.
Danyar is definitely easier for sure. Danyar, but yeah, he's in the mix there. Haven't heard his name thrown out there, but he's not one of those names that. He's certainly a high risk, low reward for sure. He's certainly high risk, so I don't expect to see his name being thrown out there by some of these guys who are trying to fast track their way to a title as well.
Right.
And then on Saturday, July 30th, 2022, another fight we hadn't got the chance to discuss was the return of Danny Garcia taking on Jose Benavidez in a 154-pound contest.
Yeah.
Yes. So Philly versus Arizona, I believe it is. Philly versus Arizona, or at least.
All right.
Even though Pennsylvania, technically, Philly's in Pennsylvania, but we all know Philly, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But Philly versus Arizona. So yeah, it was a 154-pound fight. The return of Danny Garcia after being out for a good bit. I don't know. I know it was probably around over a year, something like that. And then Benavidez himself hadn't fought in a while. Yeah. So both of them were moving up to 154 pounds. So this was the case where two fighters were meeting at a new weight. Facing each other at that new weight. So, of course, that has implications when you think about, how they'll look against a natural 154-pounder. But nonetheless, they came in, they saw, and they fought. What did you think of that?
Which, sorry, didn't quite.
Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez.
Oh yeah, Benavidez. Yeah, I don't think I saw that fight actually. Just a second.
Yeah, well, No, hey, I can sum it up for you. Danny
Yeah.
Garcia was punching and moving, and Jose Benavidez was just kind of plodding forward, sticking his tongue out, and then he'd throw a punch, maybe two, and then he just fly forward, flex his muscles.
There wasn't much
Just look
to
at
see.
him. Yeah. And so it didn't turn out to be a competitive contest. Matter of fact, it'd be hard pressed to give Benavidez one round, let alone anything more than that. I gave him 1 round, though. I think there might have been some generosity there.
And one judge had it a draw. Wow.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. So it ended up being a split or a majority decision, and that's just one of those stained black eye type moments for boxing. The fact that no one in their right mind would have given Benavidez anything more than 2 rounds, if that. And this person had it as a draw. Like, what are you watching? It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close at all. Benavidez was barely moving, which makes me think, it's so bad for Benavidez at this point that it just seems like, man, all you do is fly forward and take shots. So is this the way you want to continue? It seems like maybe maybe his leg is really jacked up, and he shouldn't be fighting because he had nothing to offer.
I see here that Benavidez didn't have a fight for 3 years. He had between the Crawford fight, which was October 2018, and until November 2021, he didn't have a fight. Wow.
Yeah.
He had only one before this Garcia. So it's no wonder he did such a poor. I mean, he had made such a poor showing. Benavidez, yes, Crawford. He was much more exciting.
Yeah. He definitely tried in that one.
Yeah.
But Crawford, was able to handle him. So this win for Danny Garcia was, you could argue it was more dominant than Crawford was. Now Garcia didn't stop him, but it was just in every facet he was just beating him. And Crawford offered more opportunities for Benavidez, because Crawford will get in there and he's got that mean streak in him as well. But Garcia just outboxed him so much so that I thought that Garcia looked pretty good. He was looking like 140-pound Garcia actually. So it'll be interesting to see how he does at 154. Now, of course, that doesn't tell the full story, just given the fact that Benavidez he was coming up and of course he didn't look good, but Tony Harrison was there, for instance, and he wants to face Danny Garcia, and I actually think that would be a good test. That would be a tough test because Harrison, he'll box, and Garcia, he's been able to at 140 pounds, he was able to take out some pretty solid boxers and everything. But at 147, not so much. So now you could argue that the guys he faced at 147 might have been better than some of the guys at 140. But I would say that you can certainly
make that point. Yeah, you can make that point.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how he does with a more boxer type fighter at 154. Tony Harrison is that. That's probably a realistic fight that can be made, considering both for PBC. With Jermell Charlo, I don't see that being made at least immediately. With Charlo having all the belts, and then he's going to be taking on Tim Tszyu. Then I know there's some other guys in line as well. I guess it would depend on if he maintains all the belts, if he intends to continue to fight undisputed, which would mean you had to take on your mandatory obligations and everything as well, though. So it'll be interesting, but Danny Garcia, the 154-pounder.
There is another guy from Australia that is quite good now, but I think some people think he is better than Tim Tszyu, but I forgot his name. Do you know maybe who that could be?
Say again? I'm sorry.
There's another guy from Australia at 154 that is actually, some people say he's better than Tim Tszyu.
Than Tim Tszyu. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Better than Tim Tszyu.
Can't remember. I think he is like, he's how do I put it, like he's like a British Australian. He's not like some kind of foreign. I mean, some other type.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't remember this person off top. I'm gonna look him up though.
Yeah,
because that'd be interesting. They think he's better than Tim Tszyu.
Yeah,
154
I
pounds.
think was it? I'm not sure if it was Jamie or it was the other guy on the other podcast that I sometimes visit, but they said, one of them said that this guy is better than Tim Tszyu.
Yeah, interesting. I see there's a guy, Ben Mahoney. Looks like he
maybe,
but he hasn't fought anyone outside of Australia.
Mahoney,
which you never know. I mean, then again, has Tszyu fought outside of Australia? I feel like he has.
No, I don't think it's him. It's some other kind of name, Luke or something like that.
Yeah, so Tszyu fought Terrell Goucher in Minneapolis.
Oh, it's not this guy. Well, we gotta take a look at those ratings at super welterweight. That's the best way to find out, I think.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, also I wanted to mention that next weekend we finally get to see the big man from Croatia in action. Filip Hrgović is fighting finally against. This fight should have happened, I believe, in May or June, but his father died, so against Strong,
Oh yeah, it is right. That's gonna be on the Joshua Usyk Joshua undercard. And Zhang. Yeah, I mentioned that. That's I'm anticipating that fight. Zhang Jilei. Excuse me. I think that's interesting. I think it's a big fight for both of them, and it has major implications.
Yeah.
For Zhang Jilei at 39, this is his moment. He has to win this. If he loses this, which I favor Hrgović, I think that that's gonna derail his intentions, depending on whether you take them serious or not, of aiming for a world title. I think both have real power. It's just that youth of Hrgović, I think that's gonna prove to be in his favor, and I think that's what will be the deciding factor. I don't think it goes the distance. I think somebody's getting knocked out.
No, there's a small chance of that, I think also. Yeah, I mean, everything can happen, of course, when you got two big punching, big guys, but I think Hrgović is simply just a class above or a level above Jean. He should win this. If he doesn't, I'll be surprised. It will be just that probably a sign that something's wrong in here. So.
And Zhang, he was already at least close to his late 30s when he turned pro. So he hadn't had. I mean, when you turn pro at that age, you don't get the time to really build up. Well, I guess you could theoretically, but at least, I mean, as you start getting up there in age, that's certainly challenging. Shout out Chris again. He says if Thurman can turn back the clock a couple of years, he can beat Ortiz, Boots, etc. He was that guy a couple of years ago. That would be very much interesting. I did favor Thurman for a lot of fights some years back. As a matter of fact, I remember thinking back in 2017 that had Errol Spence and Keith Thurman fought, I would have favored Keith Thurman at that particular time. Now, of course, you never know. I mean, Errol Spence is a great fighter, so maybe he was going to be able to do what it takes then, even with Thurman being, a great fighter at that time. So, that would certainly be interesting. I definitely think Thurman would probably have a better chance. Well, I was going to say Ortiz, but Ortiz is very good at the body, so I think he has a better chance with Ortiz, I would say, than Ennis, just given that elite boxing ability that Ennis has. He's just so natural with it, natural and smooth with everything he does in there, and he has power and speed. So that would make it very interesting. And with Thurman, yeah, it's good that he's at least back in the mix somewhat.
Yeah,
but I don't know where to place him actually.
he's got the big talent, definitely. Just that he doesn't always really use it. You might say the right way. And I know against Pacquiao, I was watching that fight not long ago, and I scored. And actually, it turned out that, anyway, in my eyes, that it would, without that knockdown, it would have been a draw. That's how I scored.
Oh yeah.
Well, only a point for Pacquiao.
Yeah, it was pretty close. It was pretty close.
So Thurman really, what has been his big problem was his ego. I would say that was the big problem. Otherwise,
Yeah, maybe if he hadn't backed out of there with his hands down, he wouldn't have got clipped on the chin.
Yeah, and early on he looked like a big puncher, but then as he stepped up in competition, he stopped knocking out guys, mostly. So
you're right. I felt he was the top heavyweight in 2017, for sure. But after that, because I remember he beat Porter. That was a very good fight right there.
Yeah,
high replay value.
First guy to beat Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia. So, I mean, he was there, but I think all the breaks and all that stuff right now, it's hard to place him. He's up there. He's certainly one of the top guys for sure. Matter of fact, I haven't seen this Barrios fight. I need to watch that. I haven't seen it yet, but I can't remember who was the last. I guess Pacquiao was the last sort of truly top level guy he fought.
Yeah,
and of course he lost that fight. So, I think he's up there. I don't know that Keith would want to take on one of those guys. I think he at this stage wants to. It's got to be the big money fight for him, I would say, if he's gonna fight again here anytime soon.
And he's also he's I believe 34 something like that. So now it's the time is ticking. Of course, the clock is ticking for him also.
Indeed. And shout out Richard Sanchez. Said shout out to you guys. Thanks for the content. Hey, we appreciate you, Richard. Thank you for dropping in, my friend. Certainly appreciate it. Thoughts on Teo? Was the competition more a factor than performance versus talent? Well, for me personally, I think that Teo's legit. He's legit. I think that he was a victim at least this last year plus, or however long it's been, or nearly 2 years, I guess, of sort of that stardom, that meteoric rise, and all that attention. And I think a lot of that kind of derailed some things for him. But I think as far as competition, Teofimo, I think they matched him up well. He came up from a competition standpoint the right way, and he looked good every step of the way for the most part, outside of the Cambosos fight, where he fought a little desperate, and you could tell that that wasn't how he typically and naturally would come out. But hey, he lost. That's on him, and I know he's mentioned he had injuries and all that stuff, so that was on him for continuing in that manner. But I do think Teofimo is the real deal. I've seen him fight live twice, and in DC and in New Orleans when he beat. So in New Orleans, I think he beat William Silva. He's like a Venezuelan or something like, or a Brazilian guy who, at the time, I think he may have had only one loss. He was more of a puncher type fighter, but Teofimo looked good. I mean, some guys, you see them, what you see them live, it looks as good as it does on TV. It translates like that, then you kind of can tell, they're the real deal. So I think Teofimo, he's legit. He's a top level guy. He has all the abilities and everything, and he was an Olympic guy. He ended up he was on the U.S. Olympic team. he ended up not making it to be what, or I think he was on the team, but yeah, he ended up not making it to be able to represent. But I don't think it was just due to Carlos Balderas. He beat him, but also the USA Boxing, they have a lot of issues and things with how some of that stuff is done, as far as there's a very incestuous nature to what goes on there at times. But he represented Honduras. That's where his mom's from. But yeah, I think Teofimo, he's a legit boxer, and he's one of those legit stars. It's just that I think that that approach he took after beating Vasily Lomachenko didn't work out in his favor, as far as trying to get additional money, didn't go into a purse bid, Triller getting involved, and how that whole thing turned out, where they ended up not even doing the fight, didn't having to go to a purse bid, and all that. It's craziness. Just craziness.
And some also say that his father, is not doing him any good either. He's like,
oh yeah,
just like nurturing his ego and stuff like that. Just he's not really telling him to get down on the ground. You are not that great yet. He's just going like,
Richard, you're funny.
Yeah. And also he's like, I don't like the way, like Lomachenko said, he was very funny, but I could understand it, why he said it. He goes on my nerves with his father, always with his father. That's true, because his father's always there talking.
Yeah.
Also, that's kind of like Angel Garcia,
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, and Richard asked a tougher question: is he a head case? Is Teofimo a head case? Thoughts on some of his rhetoric seems a bit bipolar.
He is, I would say now, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think he's a head case. We've interviewed him a couple of times. Boz and I have interviewed him together ourselves. Actually, I think that what you see there on TV is more of a show. I would say it's showmanship, because when you talk to him offline, in an offline setting, he's not very
back then,
like that.
He sounded pretty like nice. I mean, humble and all that. Humble, not that too humble, but anyway. He sounded all right, but now I've heard that he's been talking some stuff that isn't so reasonable.
I think a lot of that, what you see when he's doing the interviews and things with the cameras on TV and all that stuff on those big stages, I think a lot of that is just him kind of playing up to the persona and all that stuff. And my girlfriend insists that he's a lover, not a fighter, and I guess you can say that is I kind of lean towards that. He ended up moving to Arkansas. That's where I'm from. You don't go to Arkansas unless you're in love, and build a house out there,
You're not making the best ad for your
especially coming from New York. I think that, I think Teofimo, he's good to go. But I think that's more so,
you're not gonna be
for the show.
You're never gonna work as a tourism for Arkansas.
No, probably not. But yeah.
Great question there unless you are in love. That's gonna be the more.
Let it go be funny. Hey, appreciate you asking those questions, Richard. Definitely. Hey, we appreciate the interaction, man. That was a great question right there. But I think Teofimo, I think he's good to go. But he's gonna continue to play up for the cameras and all that stuff. I think that's just what a lot of that is for the most part.
We really appreciate you and others like you, definitely.
Oh yes, without a doubt. We do appreciate that.
We're only missing our most ardent follower.
Oh yeah, Rodolfo. Shout out Rodolfo Rivera. Where you at, Rodolfo?
Maybe he's sleeping. Are you sleeping, Rodolfo? Come on, where are you?
Hey, if you're watching the playback, Rodolfo, we're sending you love. Shout out without a doubt. Those are all the big fights other than Dalton Smith versus O'Mason. something on Mason. I forget his name, but look, Richard has another one. Okay, then Teo versus Haney. Hey, I think that's a good fight. It's a good fight right there.
If Haney wants to go to 140, I don't know if he doesn't. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's the thing now. So yeah, it may happen at 140, and I think Haney he'll be able to carry 140 well. And I don't see him being at 135 too much longer, especially.
Nobody seems to want to be at 135 much longer.
The only person, I guess, that he's been thrown in the mix with that is left there really is Lomachenko and I guess Tank, and Tank. It depends on if he continues to fight at 135, but I know that when they were talking Tank Garcia, they were saying that, or at least Mayweather had released a statement saying that they would fight. I think he released a statement. Yeah. I saw something saying that they would only fight at 135. So Garcia said he's not coming back down to 135. So I'm guessing Tank is still fighting at 135. I know Haney has sought that fight. It doesn't look like it's actually going to happen at any point soon. So, but yeah, Teofimo versus Haney would be a very interesting match, especially from a style perspective. And yeah, hopefully we get to see it at 154, because I think you have two guys who are technically sound, get a slight power edge to Teofimo Lopez, but Haney, despite the fact he's really not a knockout guy, he does have the ability to do so, and he's one of the better boxers in the sport for sure. So that would make it very interesting, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Vyond, he wants a prediction from you. Haney, Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting. Haney is, I would say a little better technically, as a boxer, while Lopez is a better puncher, of course, definitely by a mile. So it would be a classic, pretty much, I think, boxer versus puncher fight. And I mean, it's a little bit hard to predict that. Well, it would be pretty competitive. And if Teofimo was able to, simply fight his fight the way he does usually at his best, I think he beats Haney most likely. But if he just isn't able to solve Haney's puzzle, his jab and all that, his boxing ability, then he loses, of course. That's natural. That's pretty logical. I mean, yeah. It's logical. Maybe I would favor Teofimo slightly more than Haney in that fight. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, certainly, one of those close to 50-50 fights for sure.
Yeah.
It will be interesting. We thought we would get it probably sooner, but hopefully we get it.
When I asked him about Haney, when we were talking to Teofimo, I was like, he's the only other champion right now, and he's like, no, he's not. I'm the only real champion.
Yeah. So, I do recall that. So
it was obvious that he doesn't really, think of him as a.
So they have that history. So I think that could transfer to 140 once Haney gets up there. At some point, which I'd imagine probably within the next year or so, he'll be going there, because I think he's 24 right now or something like that. Right? So yeah, generally he's looked great here at 135. But yeah, he can certainly carry 140, and with the way the tide is shifting there at 135, I could definitely see him there not too long from now. Good Sunday to you, Richard.
Yeah, good Sunday, Richard.
Thank you for sure. We're gonna get out of here soon. I just wanted to bring up two other fights. One of them being Dalton Smith, UK fighter who took on O'Mason. I can't remember O'Mason's first name right now, but I hadn't seen O'Mason, but I have seen Dalton Smith a number of times, and I I thought he looked pretty good all the times that I saw him. So not knowing O'Mason, I figured Dalton Smith, just from what I had seen, was probably going to be a pretty solid pro as he continued to go up. And he put on a show there. This went down. He ended up getting a 6-round TKO over him. This was in Sheffield Arena. And they had a decent crowd out there. It was a pretty solid card overall, from what I had saw. But yeah, Dalton Smith, man, yeah, he's a strong fighter. He can box. I don't know his amateur background, but you can tell he has some pretty solid skills, some wrinkles to his game as far as what he offers in there. I think this was for some European belt, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was some European belt of some type that might have been on the line, but he's now 12-0, and the next stage is going to be that world level, I suppose. Just given what goes on, he's fighting at super lightweight, so I guess it's 140 pounds. So hey, that's a name that we could see in the mix there at some point forward. I don't know if you've seen him or whatever, but he's on a number of those DAZN cards. He was fighting on some of the cards during the whole DAZN bubble thing when COVID first came, and it was at like that Matchroom Boxing headquarters as well. So he's fought a good number of times on DAZN, as far as I can recall at least, and he's pretty solid. He has a solid build to him and everything.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think stands out above the other, I just think all around he has a good mix of everything.
Oh yeah, almost forgot. Michael Conlon, he fought again.
Oh yeah,
he was.
That's the other one I was going to mention. As a matter of fact, Mickey Conlon. Now I tried to watch that fight. I watched like the first couple of rounds. I had watched like a round or two when it was happening live, but I was watching another card. And I didn't watch it all, but it was one of those fights, you see Mariaga, he's always brought in as an opponent, of course, he's a solid guy, but he's always the opponent type. So this was Michael Conlon trying to come back from that loss to Leigh Wood, and he's a more cautious fighter, I would say, the way he fought this time around. I didn't get through it. It just looked like it was going to be I don't want to say boring fight, but
he scored 3 knockdowns, so it wasn't boring, obviously.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he scored 3 knockdowns, but the parts that I did watch, it just looked very cautious, and that's of course, nothing wrong with that. But it just didn't look like it was gonna be an exciting fight. So maybe I'll go check it out now that I check out the full thing. Now that I know 3 knockdowns occurred. But it was more so Mariaga just kind of coming forward, the parts that I did see, and Conlon just choosing the box,
Mariaga, I guess, just tailor-made for him. He was, always, a good contender, but never really truly, was. Not a guy who wins in world-class fights. Mariaga.
Yeah, he's like, pretty much a gatekeeper.
Yeah, gatekeeper. Yeah, just a good test, for an elite level fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll beat some prospects. Lose to those that are meant to, do their thing in the future.
Yeah,
and those type of guys.
I heard that there are rumors about Leigh Wood fighting Mauricio Lara.
Oh wow! Now that would be crazy right there.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
How about that fight? Wow.
Yeah, if Lara hits him with that same punch Conlon, I wonder if he gets up. But man, that was a big punch he took. So I give Leigh Wood his props. Man.
Oh yeah.
That's what they say when they say, "Hey, this is your opportunity. This is the fight of your life. We need you to show up." He did that.
He's got the chin and the heart. That's for sure.
Yeah, he does. So that should be interesting. So they're gonna give Lara another shot at one of those titles. Maybe we see Lara Warrington. What do you think?
Yeah. Well,
Warrington's like, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, maybe not. Well, that's a pity about the rematch. It ended like it did. Yeah,
I know. It always sucks when something like that happens.
It really sucks.
Yeah. So if that Leigh Wood Warrington not Warrington, but Lakewood and Laura fight happens, definitely going to be checking that out.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent.
That's gonna be fireworks.
Certainly fireworks indeed. So all right, yeah, that's good stuff. And I still haven't watched Chris Billum Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain. I need to check that out.
Who has?
Yeah. Then I don't know if we got to talk about it, but of course Adam Konoski against Demarizian.
Yeah, that was also another disappointment for Konoski.
Close to a swan song for Konoski there, so he may fight one more time in a sort of showcase fight. And Demarizian, he'll fight somebody, I imagine. I could see him taking on Jared Anderson or something. So I think that would be a good step up for Anderson, but it depends on. So yeah, Demarizian, he seems like he would do it because this was
he's a solid fighter. He's not a future world champion or anything. No. He's a solid fighter who does bring a good fight and all that. So that's the impression I got of him. I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, he does.
Some, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then Gary Antoine Russell got a win over Barthélemy. And what was a quick stoppage? Many felt. Right. I felt that way too. Interesting fight. Both of them had some good moments. I thought Russell was winning. He came out super aggressive. More aggressive than ever, I would say.
He's the next great Gary A. Russell.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, without a doubt. Hey, I wanted to get your thoughts, just because I see it here. There's this British heavyweight Fisher. He fought. I can't remember. I'm trying to see what is his full name. Johnny Fisher. Have you seen him yet?
No.
He's this big British heavyweight. He's only 5-0, but he's 6'4", 23 years old. He's got some decent size to him, but he fought on the Matchroom card here recently.
Well,
but you'll have to check him out. Then you can let me know. He was on that Dalton Smith O'Mason card, but he's British heavyweight prospect. So worthy of checking out. Just we'll talk about it next time around.
The Romford Bull.
Hey, he brings out fans. They love him. He's got his supporters love him. He'll bring out a good contingent of fans to any card he's on over there. So remember that name, Johnny Fisher.
23 years only. So that's good.
He could. I see him as potentially being an opponent sometime down the road for Fabio Wardley.
Oh yeah, that's a guy I really am following. Really. Yeah. I'm really excited about that guy's future. He can really be.
Yeah. So I think now of course it's too early to know how to all play out. But I guess if Fisher continues on his trajectory and Wardley continues, on his trajectory, seeing how things play out, that could be a good one.
The only thing that maybe worries me about Morel, he seems to take sometimes unnecessary chances or risks, like against Molina, for instance. He almost got taken out before he just wasted him with a single shot. That wasn't really clever, but who knows? Maybe he has learned from that. I hope so.
Yeah,
not be so reckless in future.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what I was also thinking in relation to Demarizian, because I was going in my mind trying to think of a potential opponent who I thought would be good for him. How about Alan Savage Babbage?
Oh yeah, that would be a pretty alright fight for him. Not too big for Alan, physically.
Yeah. He's not. He'll have a weight advantage over him, of course. Yeah. But Babbage is offensive. They're both offensive, so
like slug it out types definitely.
So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, why not?
As a matter of fact, I was trying to see if anything is on the tab for him. So he fought on the 21st of May. Oh yeah, those guys. Hey, that guy he fought made it tough for Babbage for sure.
Yeah.
Adam Balski,
yeah.
And he made it tough for him as far as Babbage was trying his darndest. He couldn't get him out of there, and I think that was good for him because he was forced to. He was forced to go rounds, and he got caught with something there. Remember at the end of one of those rounds, and he was legitimately hurt.
The ninth round.
Yeah, and the way he bounced back from that was a good showing from Babbage right there.
He was again shaken in the 10th round, but then he just, he went all Rocky on that guy. It was really like Rocky Balboa stuff he did there.
Yeah, so Babbage was 208 in that fight, and the other guy was 2210. So, that size to a certain degree, I think, is going to remain a factor of some sort for Babbage as far as he moves forward. We'll have to see how he handles that size because he's not, from a weight perspective, he's not a huge heavyweight.
No way. Never gonna be, but that's not his forte. It's like his fan speed and aggression. That stuff is the main thing for him, and some power. I mean, he's not really big, huge puncher, but he does have pop anyway. So,
without a doubt, certainly some pop there.
Yeah.
Shout out Chris, top 7 fighters under 27.
Oh. That's gonna take too long now.
That is certainly a very interesting one right there. I had to think about it. I would say that for my money, the top fighter under 27, in my opinion, is Shakur Stevenson. So I would have him at number 1. But of course, then you have like Boots and the Ortiz of the world.
Virgil Ortiz. How old is he? Yeah, he's
Bam Rodriguez. I would probably have Bam Rodriguez around number. I would have Shakur Stevenson, Boots, Bam Rodriguez. Those 3 for sure.
How old is he?
He's like 22, so I think he can. He's excellent. He's like, I believe he's 21 or 22. He was the youngest champion, or he might still be the youngest champion, so he could be 21. But he's legit. So certainly those 3, thinking about it off top.
Those guys
under 27. I think that. Who else? There's a lot of guys out there. Just thinking about that.
Nowadays those guys really develop fast. Earlier it was you start at 20, but they wouldn't really develop into world class until they were 25, 6 or something.
Let me see how old is Mirajan Akhmadaliev, because I think he's one.
Oh yeah, Mirajan.
He's a Uzbek fighter, but I think MJ is. Oh, he's actually 27, so he's 27, but he was one I would definitely throw in there.
Yeah,
as far as one of the top guys out there. Then you have. Let me see. There are a number of other ones out there. Just trying to think. So broad, so many divisions and everything. So many ways you can go. How old is Stephen Fulton? Because I think he's legit.
Oh yeah, he's like 25, maybe. Yes, I don't know, something.
So I would put him in that mixed. Stephen Fulton, I would put him in that mix for sure. Let me see. Cool boy Steph. Oh, he's actually 28, so can't put him in that mix. So under 27. But that's a very good question. That is a very good question. But yeah, those three that I had mentioned up there in the top end for sure. As far as Stevenson, Bam, Rodriguez, Boots. Also, Benavidez. I didn't know he was. So he's under 27. Which I guess makes sense. I think, he might be like 24, 25 or something. Yeah, I would throw David Benavidez in there.
David Benavidez, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's 25. So, yeah, Benavidez for sure.
Yeah.
Benavidez, he's for sure one of those guys that should be in the mix.
For sure.
Benavidez.
You gotta have him there, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Who's that? Let's see. Heavyweights, I think the guy that I think is oh, yeah. Agree with you there, John. Yeah.
Well, Fabio Wardley he's also, yeah. That's
a good question there, Chris. Yeah, I have to think on it some more. How old is Inoue? Is he 20? Yeah, he's 29. So yeah, he's past it. So these are likely. They're thinking about under 25. Yeah, there's some. But hey, that might be worth a discussion our next time out.
Yeah,
thinking about it and taking a deeper look and deeper dive into it. But hey, we have 4 of them off of there now. There's some other guys I like. I just have to think a little bit deeper as far as whether I would say they're the top 7 under 27. When you think about some of the guys we mentioned at welterweight with Stanionis and Ortiz, who's legit.
Yeah.
And then 154, I like Sebastian Fundora. I think he's legit. But
Fundora.
Top though.
Yeah, I love Fundora. He's such a great fighter to watch. Yeah. Wow.
And it's not because I think he's the better boxer. I just think his style is a problem for everyone at 154.
He just keeps coming and punching. So cool, of course. Such a nightmare, to fight.
Yeah, that's crazy. His sister fought on a card here recently. It's funny that she's about 5'8", 5'9", or whatever, but her style is similar to his in some sense.
Right.
It was pretty cool. So you can see they train together for sure.
Yeah, he looks like a very nice guy. I follow him on Instagram, so he looks very,
Oh yeah, certainly. Humble young man, without a doubt. Chris Cabrera also is Morel. So yeah, I didn't think about Morel. I think Morel is legit. I do think he's legit. He's pretty solid. He's had a pretty high trajectory. He's only maybe 5 fights, 6 fights at this point. He's the guy out of DC, Lentez Fox. Shout out to Lentez Fox. But yeah, David Morel. I think Morel is legit.
Yeah, he's 24. That's right.
Okay, yeah, he's been moving. He's been moving and shaking. I think he's I think he'd make an interesting fight with David Benavidez actually, and he, of course, he'll box more, but he's willing to exchange. He has some decent power and all that stuff. I think that would be interesting.
Edgar Berlanga is 25 also, but I don't know if you would rate him there.
Oh yeah, no. Nah.
Sorry, Edgar, you didn't make the cut.
No disrespect to Edgar, but I wouldn't throw him in there. But certainly Morel, yeah, he's worth mentioning. I think Gary Antoine Russell is worth mentioning. Yeah, I'm just trying to think through the weight division. I know there's probably some guys I'm missing, or I know there's guys I'm missing. I'm just trying to think under 27. Under 27, yes. I think Stanionis, he's under 27, right? He looks to be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then 160, who's at 160? Because 160 right now seems to be an open one.
Yeah.
You could argue
Well,
potentially.
I don't know if Johnny Beck, how old he is.
Yeah, and I was gonna think Israel Madrimov. He seems to be pretty solid, and he has high potential. I think he might be under 27.
154, yeah.
So Madrimov is out there. Then Opataya looked pretty good at light heavyweight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not heavyweight, but cruiserweight.
John is 29. He's too big.
Yeah. Then light heavyweight. Who's that light heavy right now? Who do we have in the mix there? Yeah, that's great question, man. Great question. Yeah, we'll definitely have to think on it some more because I know there's some other guys out there that I likely would have in the mix that I can't think of right now.
Well, Buatsi, I don't know. I wouldn't have it.
Buatsi is
he's 29 also, yeah.
Yeah. Buatsi looks pretty good though. He's pretty solid. Morel versus Velenga. I think that Morel would ice Velenga at this particular point.
Probably.
Yeah, I think Morel is too fundamentally sound for him. And he can punch, So I guess that is the problem right there. If Morel could only box and didn't have a punch, that would be different, or vice versa. If he only had a punch and couldn't box. But I think from what I've seen, Morel seems to be able to box, punch, move. He seems to be the total package to a certain degree. So yeah, I think he would knock out Velenga probably fairly quickly in terms of within the first few rounds, I would say. That's my opinion, of course.
Velenga has proven to be not as, he hasn't lived up to the hype anyway. So.
How old is Jake Paul? Is he under 27?
Yeah, he's 25, I believe. So he makes it. Yeah, he is.
Of course, this is all jokes.
Yeah. And his brother is 27, I believe. Exactly. Logan. But he wouldn't especially make that.
Let me see, how old is Ioka?
He's older. Kazuto,
he's older.
I mean. Or the other one. Yeah, Kazuto has.
Oh yeah, he's 33. Yeah, that is right. Maybe I was thinking of someone else. Kamaguchi. Yeah. Am I thinking of Kamaguchi or? Let me see. Hey, crazy. A lot to think about. We got to think about that. Gonna think on that a bit more. Maybe, Boz. Maybe we can look at who we think are the top 7, sort of 27.
That's a good idea. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Chris Cabrera.
It was Chris.
We're gonna discuss it next time around. So we'll be back next week for sure with that. But I do know my number 1 is gonna be Shakur Stevenson. That I can say for sure. But hey, from there, you never know. Even money.
Yeah.
But it's all opinions. So, but man, I know we're about to hit 2 hours. So
yeah.
Get the time to rock and roll, as they say.
Yep.
But hey, we appreciate everyone that has come on board. A lot of great discussion and activity today. Man, we appreciate everyone that stopped by. Chris, we appreciate you. James Morgan, welcome, buddy. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. For sure. We appreciate you certainly. John Perkinson, thank you for dropping in. Richard Sanchez, appreciate you dropping in. Bruce Gass, Boxing and Jazz, check him out. My mom actually dropped in. Thank you for dropping in. Always supporting Hyphy, of course. Appreciate you. And then everyone else who checks out the replay and all that stuff. Again, you can find us 86 Boxing on everything. Boxing Haven. Boz is on YouTube as well. What is your YouTube, Boz?
Yeah, it's called Boz Ajanovic, or Ajanovic, as you would call it, as you would pronounce it.
YouTube. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to put it on this banner here at some point, so I'll make sure to get that updated. But yeah, cool. So yeah, definitely thanks for dropping by.
The next
James.
one is next Sunday.
We're gonna aim for next Sunday, probably near the same time.
Then we're gonna have at least one fight to talk about.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. So around 10 Eastern next Sunday, because 10 a.m. Eastern. There's gonna be Joshua Usic. That's gonna be the marquee fight. Yeah.
Joshua Usyk. Wait, is it?
Hold up. Am I wrong right there? I might be wrong right there.
Is it not in October, like 8th or something?
Oh no, yeah. You know what? I am wrong. Who's fighting next weekend? It's a big fight next weekend. Oh no, August 20th. So yeah, Joshua Usyk.
All right, just a second. I'm gonna check that. Well, yeah, it is actually next weekend. Oh, sorry, right? Yeah. And this Hergovich fight is on the undercard. Yeah, that's right.
It's on the undercard. Yeah. So yeah, that's the big fight. Big fight for the weekend there. So hey, I'm sure there will be plenty to discuss, and hopefully, and the card in itself looked pretty solid. So I think it's going to be a good event just in general. Peace out, Chris. Hey, thanks, brother. Thank you, James, as well. Take care for sure.
Take care, man, James.
All right, cool. Appreciate you all, and with that, we'll check you out on the next one for sure.